In today's tip video, I'm going to show you a couple different features. One is called the Control Center, and the other one is the magical option button, right? So let's begin. First thing I want to show you is under System Settings. So we can get to System Settings by clicking on this icon here, or the Apple menu System Settings. We're going to scroll down to Control Center, click on it, and we're going to be presented with several options. Now this is the Control Center, so you can see all your apps and you can turn on and off features. But what you might not know is this is also part of the Control Center. Okay, so you'll see items here, the Wi-Fi right there, Bluetooth here. We can turn these on or off by toggling these menus. So show in menu bar, don't show in menu bar. One that I like to turn on is the sound. Always show in menu bar. Now we have the sound icon up here. I'll show you why in a few minutes. But there are other options you can turn on or off in here. For instance, the battery, we can show the percentage or turn that off. Music recognition with Shazam. If you want to identify a song that you just YouTubed, you can turn that on. Now, usually if you're YouTubing something, you know what the song is, so that was a joke. I hope you're laughing hysterically. Okay, keyboard brightness. Okay, and then there's clock options. We can click here and we can change whether or not we want to show the date, for instance, whether we want to show the day of the week, digital, analog, flashing the seconds, showing the seconds. Okay, we can also have it announce the time, like at every hour, for instance. We can say, hey, we can assign a voice and it'll say, hey, it's 1 o'clock or whatever. Okay, those are all options here. Okay, so let's close this out. The next thing I want to show you is the option button, right? So it's on your keyboard. You probably use it some, but you may not know what it can do, right? So first I want to show you a little shortcut that I use all the time. It's option and drag. So if you know that if I drag an item, I just move it around, right? If I go into my documents folder, for instance, I grab a picture and I drag it, I just move that file. Now I'll undo that. What happens when we hold the option key down and drag? It creates a duplicate of that file, so it allows us to copy. Okay, now this works anywhere, so I can hold option here and just drag it and create duplicates on my desktop. Okay, so option drag allows me to create a duplicate file, so I can move from one location to another location holding the option key, and it creates a copy of it. Another feature of the option key is if I go up to this sound that I just turned on, if I click on it, you'll notice I get the sound bar and I get my audio output. So if I want to change where my sound's going, I can actually just change it right here. If I hold the option button down and click on that, notice I also get my input, so where the sound is actually coming from. So in this case, the MacBook microphone. Okay. Alright, another feature of option, I'm going to open this folder. This is one I created. If I click on this disclosure triangle, it's going to show the items in this folder. Okay. Now I should note before I do this, this icon right here, this allows you to change between icon view, list view, columns view, which breaks everything out into columns, or as a gallery, which does more of like a slideshow type thing. I can use my left and right arrow keys to navigate. Okay, I'm going back into my list view. And like I just showed you, if I click this triangle, it just shows you the one folder. Okay. If, however, I hold down the option key and click this button, notice it shows you all folders. It opens all the folders at once, not just one, not just folder 1. Folder 2 and 3 also open. So it shows me everything that's nested inside that folder with the option key held down. Alright. At the top, if we press the option key while a window is selected, notice that our options actually change. Okay? For instance, one that you may not use, but maybe on one of the tips I'll explain what it does. If I hold Option on the Go menu, I get a hidden folder called Library. This is where your computer preferences are actually found, your specific preferences. Okay, so you'll see I get different icons here. The other thing I get is if you look at these, like for instance empty trash, if you see this dot dot dot, that means there's another menu coming. When I click this button, it's going to ask me a question. So I can select this button and it's going to ask me, do I want to empty the trash? And I can say yes or cancel. If I hold the Option button down, notice those dots disappear. That means it's not going to prompt me if I want to empty the trash. It's just going to immediately empty my trash, which I did. Notice there was no prompt. Okay, so that's another trick of the Option key. Now let's go look at what the Option key does in a web browser. So in this web browser here, I have a Google slide, and I have an image in it. Now normally I would grab an image, and if I wanted to resize it, I would drag it up like this, and drag it down, right? And so I can resize my image. I'm going to undo that, undo it again. Now I'm going to hold the Option key down, and notice instead of dragging this point out, watch what happens. Notice it's resizing from the center of the image. So now I can scale this out a lot quicker by holding the Option key down. So I can scale this out to almost full size, just like that. So it allows me to drag from center. If I have multiple tabs open, let's just pick a few things here. A few websites. That looks good. Alright, if I click on a tab to close it, notice that tab closes. Let's open one again. I'll just go here. Now what happens if I hold down the Option key and click on a tab? Well, I'll click on this one to close this one, right? Notice it closed every tab but the one I was holding the Option on. So it closed everything but that one. Okay, so that's a little trick that you can use with the Option key. Now one more trick I want to show you is if I open up multiple folders, if I click an X right here on this red dot, it closes that folder down. However, if I hold the Option key and click on the X, it closes all open folders. Now here's something interesting. It also works with minimize. So if I hold down the Option key and click the yellow button, it minimizes both at once. So again, this is just scratching the surface of the Option button, but it's something that you might want to take a look at as you're looking to expand what you do with your Mac. Hope you enjoyed this video.